think the demographic for art appreciation and art as an industry, visual arts as an industry, is expanding in the Philippines?
I'd like to think so. At least here at Salcedo Auctions, and a lot of people really enjoy coming here because they find it as a confluence of many different segments of society. In fact, you have the the hardcore art collectors, and you have the aficionados, you have the society and the lifestyle and the fashion crowds coming here. They're all comfortable coming here, being with like-minded people. A lot of people who have come to me and have expressed that that enjoyment in being in such a convivial atmosphere. And I think because of that appreciation that was confined to smaller circles before, when it comes to appreciating good Philippine art, is expanding. The education continues in an atmosphere that is really. How should we say, that embraces everyone.
So you think there are more and more collectors who are younger?
Oh yes, we've seen that, and I think that I'm very happy to say that each auction there are always new faces.
Where do they come from? What is their background? Education or?
I mean, I would say that they are largely the ones that come at least to the major auctions, for example, are either senior level management or entrepreneurs. So you're looking at people that are like in their 30s to their 40s, early 50s perhaps, and it's only, you'd be surprised that there are all of these, financially successful people out there who've never really been looking at art. They were indulging in other things, but have only started to look at art now, and that continues to expand.
So why are they turning to art?
I think
this is not a sudden occurrence.
No, it's not, and I think the auctions at Salcedo have been able to help bring that about. I mean, we have been quite present in media or also in social media, etc. And people do know that it's a life, it's all part of a certain lifestyle that people, enjoy living. That whole idea of having a well-appointed life is what we epitomize here. And so they see that art is an important part of that. People do come and say, my friends have been telling me, my house that I've just newly built needs good art. So, and of course, with the growth in the economy and construction and people moving into these beautiful homes, I always say, well, you've spent so much on that gorgeous house, you can't be hanging posters. You should, you should also, invest in quality art.
All these past years, especially during the post-pandemic.
Yes.
To clarify, to confirm a point, Salcedo didn't skip a beat during the pandemic and in the post-pandemic,
yes.
Right? How do you explain that?
I think that we were one of the first, if not the first, I think, in this particular field to have been able to make that shift. Well, during the pandemic, as you know, we were able to quickly pivot. That was the operative word back then, from the live to the online auctions. The good thing is that we had that prescient, vision that, this was something that was happening, especially with people's continued reliance on, or continued pathways of communication was all happening through online, social media, etc. And so we were able to quickly shift our operations at the time to that. And because of the fact that people's leisurely activities and options were quite limited back then, people turned to our auctions to, entertain themselves. They were doing, the people that had the means, they were doing some spring cleaning at home. They were spending so much time at home. They knew that they needed perhaps to enhance their interiors, or maybe, let go of certain pieces that they felt they didn't belong
So did
anymore.
The post-pandemic sustain the market and activity, or did it even increase?
I think for us here at Salcedo Auctions, it did increase in the sense that I think people were just raring to go out at that point in time after when the things started opening up. I think they were
Physical encounter.
correct. They were really hankering for that kind of physical contact, and there were some people were saying something about people were revenge spending, and art was certainly one of the commodities that benefited from that.
How has Salcedo distinguished itself in the art auction landscape all these years? Well, what do you think has been its defining factor?
I think it's really ultimately two things. One is that we always subscribe to the idea that a Philippine auction house should be world class, and therefore there is that idea of being sure that we adhere to world class standards, world class presentation, and also presenting the very best of everything, and that we believe is very important. The second thing that we value here at Salcedo is the fact that we are the pioneer, and we continue to pioneer in the Philippine auction landscape, introducing various categories in our sales programs and events as well. I think that the definition of what an auction company is here in the Philippines remains at Salcedo, in being able to actually expand beyond the visual arts, looking at other collectibles from jewelry, furniture, etc., and beyond that even into fashion, as we had just done recently with the collaboration between Michael Cinco in Bing Taho. I think that Salcedo Auctions, as a homegrown brand, has already been well recognized as a luxury brand as well, simply because of what it represents. And I think that it's by presenting these events, for example, these interfaces between art and fashion, etc., it really is deeply enmeshed now in the lifestyle sphere as well, being the venue of choice for these kinds of creative collaboration. So we're quite excited about that pioneering move that we continue to make as we enter, our 15th year next year.